Here are more suburbs of Atlanta that you should and shouldn't move to. There are many reasons why you might want to move to Atlanta, and one of those reasons is for like new construction. If you're moving to the metro Atlanta area and you are specifically looking for new construction homes, then there's a few places you should or shouldn't move to. For example, Dunwoody is a city that I would not suggest moving to if you are considering a new construction home, or Norcross is another one of those that I don't think we see really a lot of new construction homes. Or Sandy Springs. Again, these are all cities, Sandy Springs, Norcross, Dunwoody, these are all cities that are pretty close to Interstate 285. And it's not that 285 doesn't get a lot of new construction, it's that those cities are cities that were established a lot longer ago. You know, as you move outward from the city of Atlanta, it's the suburbs that are farther away from Atlanta that are now seeing new construction and more development. And so these suburbs that are closer to the city of Atlanta naturally were developed longer ago. So we're not seeing a lot of new developments there. So the suburbs that I do think are a good recommendation or a good suburb to move to if you're looking for new construction would be suburbs like Woodstock. Woodstock is in Cherokee County, about 45 to maybe an hour away from Atlanta, and you are seeing a lot of new construction in that city. Another one would be the city of Cumming. There's also a lot of new construction there. Again, these are suburbs that are farther away from the city of Atlanta, and they have a lot more undeveloped areas, undeveloped land to be building new homes and new communities. And so we're seeing certainly a lot of new construction in those suburbs. Another one, and one of my favorites, is the city of Dallas. Dallas is in Paulding County, and they're seeing a lot of new construction in that area as well. Again, similar story. Dallas is farther away, so it's more undeveloped land, and so they have more space to create new homes. Also really important about Dallas is that I think Dallas has the most amount of like upside when it comes to cities like Woodstock or Cumming. There is a lot of new construction there, but there is also they've hit their peak, I think, for the most part. These are already very popular suburbs, and there's a lot to do in cities like Woodstock or Cumming. There's a lot going on there, but Dallas is still one of these like small towns, and so there's a lot more room for growth and development and more upside. So when it comes to like home values is what I'm referring to. Home values, I foresee the city of Dallas having more room for growth and more room for appreciation in the home values than some of these other suburbs like Woodstock or Cumming. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living. We put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the suburbs of Atlanta. Another big one for many people is whether or not you are looking for a new place to live and you want to be around good public schools. So let's talk about the suburbs that are good for public schools and then suburbs that are not good for public schools. We're also going to talk about suburbs that are good for like economy and finding work, or like the small town feel. We're going to talk about all these kind of different situations. Of course, if you plan on moving to Metro Atlanta, or you just have any questions about what it's like to live here, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I'm a local real estate agent here in Metro Atlanta. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. But when it comes to the public schools, a great option for that is certainly going to be Johns Creek. Johns Creek, Georgia is in Fulton County and is one of the best when it comes to excellent elementary school, middle school, high school. Many people who move to Johns Creek move there for the public schools. Another good one is Buford. Buford is in Gwinnett County, and in general, Gwinnett is known for having excellent public schools. All of the suburbs, well, not all of the suburbs, most of the suburbs of Gwinnett County have excellent public schools, and so this is a big reason why so many people move to Gwinnett, or especially to the city of Buford. On the south side of Metro Atlanta, one of my favorites is Fayetteville, and Fayetteville is in Fayette County, and there's quite a few other suburbs or cities in Fayette County, specifically Peachtree City. So that kind of Fayetteville and Peachtree City area also has excellent public schools. And so if that is really like the highest part of your priority list is public schools, those cities would be the in my opinion, one of the best ones to move to, but there's some suburbs that would be terrible to move to if you really are prioritizing public schools. And one of those would be Sandy Springs. Sandy Springs is not really a great suburb to move to for public schools. In fact, I don't even know of any public schools in Sandy Springs, and I live like 20 minutes from Sandy Springs. It's not really like I don't know any families or friends of ours who live in Metro Atlanta who are in Sandy Springs for the public schools. Now, if there are public schools and you know about them, please put them down in the comments for us to like know what the public schools are in Sandy Springs, but I don't even know of any because it's not really a priority for that city. The city of Sandy Springs does not prioritize public schools because most of the people who move to that area are there for being close to the city of Atlanta or for something work related. There's a lot of economy, there's a lot of employers in Sandy Springs, but there's not really a lot of like families in that area. Now, of course, if you could live in Sandy Springs and have a super close commute to work, and maybe you have your child in like a private school or homeschool, then that would be an excellent situation. Like that setup there of living in Sandy Springs and doing private school and having a 5 to 10 minute commute to work. Man, you'd be the envy of Metro Atlanta to have such a short commute to work. That would be awesome. So I'm certainly not saying that Sandy Springs is an area that you need to stay away from. It's just not one that most people go to for public schools. Some other cities that I think don't have excellent public schools would be like Conyers or Snellville or Stockbridge. These cities, according to greatschools.org and many of the other public school rating websites, those websites don't really rate the public schools in those cities very highly. So these are not the cities that I would suggest for public schools. Now, if you're moving to the Metro Atlanta area for something work related, you're needing to be, close to work. Maybe work is transferring you here or you have found a new job here in Atlanta. Obviously, the best place to live for that is going to be as close as possible to that employer. But if you are looking for a city that has a lot of employers or industry or economy in general, then one of the best ones for that is, in fact, Sandy Springs. Again, not good for schools, but excellent for finding work because of its proximity to the city of Atlanta and because of the amount of employment and industry and economy in Sandy Springs. This is a great one for finding work. Another good one would be obviously Atlanta. Anything in Atlanta would be good for that. The city of Marietta is a huge city and there's a lot of industry, a lot of economy there, a lot of employers. And also Alpharetta. Alpharetta has a ton of tech companies. It's a tech hub for much of Metro Atlanta. And so for tech related jobs, Alpharetta is a great option. Some cities that I think you should stay away from, however, if you are coming here for work and you're looking for, an easy commute to your job would be like Beaufort. Beaufort is not really known for having a lot of industry and Beaufort is very far from the city of Atlanta. So for that reason, I would say Beaufort is not a great option for being close to work. Also like Noonan. Noonan is in like the south part of Metro Atlanta and very far from the city of Atlanta. There's a lot of great things about the city of Noonan. I used to live in Noonan and I think it's great, but not a great option for being close to work. Also Dallas. Again, Dallas is good for a lot of things, but Dallas is far out there. Still a small town that doesn't have a lot of economy, and so not one that I would suggest. Or there's a bunch of suburbs like along I-20 in the west part of Metro Atlanta, like Conyers, Covington. These are not suburbs that I would think have a lot of industry or a lot of employers. Many of the people who live in that area commute to the city of Atlanta using I-20. Now, if you are moving to the Metro Atlanta area to find like the small town feel, if you're, maybe you're not moving here for like an employer thing or like a school thing, you're just looking for a small town that is super peaceful and you're wanting to get away from the busy big city, then in my opinion, some great options for that would be, one of them is certainly Dallas. Again, Dallas has that small town feel, new construction, is still a small town, and so it has that kind of quiet feel. Canton is also a good option. Canton is in Cherokee County and it's north of Metro Atlanta. One of my absolute favorites for finding that small town charm. Fayetteville is another good one. Fayetteville, again, is the one on the south side that I just suggested earlier. Great suburb for finding that small town feel. And then Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill is one that is kind of in the northwest-ish part of Metro Atlanta and also still has that super quaint, cute downtown area. Lots of people choose Sugar Hill for that downtown area. Very easy to walk around in that part of the city. But cities that I would suggest staying away from if you're looking for that small town feel would be cities like Marietta. Again, Marietta is a huge city and is not a small town. Lawrenceville is another one that's a very big city that is not really the small town quaint feel that you would find. And then again, Sandy Springs. Sandy Springs is good for economy, but not good for finding that small town feel. For the most part, Sandy Springs is like an extension of Atlanta. You can think of Sandy Springs as having that kind of Atlanta city feel, but it's just a bit farther away from the city of Atlanta. For sure, one of the biggest factors for whether or not you move to Atlanta is going to be the cost of living. If you come from a bigger city like LA or Miami or New York and you're looking for that lower cost of living, then Atlanta is a great option. But if you're coming from a city that is like a small, town in the Midwest, then obviously Atlanta is going to have a higher cost of living. So to help answer that question about whether or not the cost of living is better here in Atlanta, I made an entire video outlining the monthly costs of living in Atlanta. You can check it out right here. I'll see you in the next one.